As we proceed, viewer discretion is highly advised. The following content is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is a verbatim transcript of federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported. The Manhattan courtroom thrums with tension as people cram shoulder to shoulder, the press clustering just beyond the polished wooden doors, cameras blinking like restless eyes. Inside, the air seems to vibrate with the weight of secrets ready to shatter a man's empire. Judge Hamilton, her stern features framed by silver hair, bangs the gavel once, silencing the murmurs and forcing the entire room to lean forward. On the prosecution bench, Assistant District Attorney Lisa Carmichael rises with quiet power. She fixes her eyes on 12 stunned jurors and promises them the kind of truth that rots in vaults and ruins the crowns worn by kings of music. Across the room sits Sean Combs, Diddy himself, an icon in an immaculately tailored suit, eyes narrowed into slits of cold calculation. Next to him, a squadron of lawyers whispers furiously, fingers tapping court documents like piano keys, rehearsing an ugly tune. Sitting a few feet away, separate and somehow smaller than anyone remembers him, is Marcus Combs, Diddy's older brother by 3 years, wearing a faded blue suit and a look of grim surrender. The betrayal that lingers between the two men fills every breath of the gallery with tension too sharp to swallow. Marcus is called to the stand. He rises slowly, each step heavy as though he's walking up to bury himself. His voice cracks on the first word, but he steadies it, looking nowhere but at the jury. He tells them about 1999, the year his brother's empire gleamed brightest. Hit records, platinum plaques, velvet ropes swung open with nods and bribes. In scattered flashes, he paints scenes of penthouse parties, beautiful faces blurred with drink and laughter, bags of cash exchanged in soundproof studio rooms, fists settling scores backstage. He says he was the brother in the background, the loyal shadow-cleaning footprints no one was supposed to notice. As he speaks, the courtroom listens to a life built on secrets too dirty for the radio edits. He pauses, chest rising and falling, as the room waits for the thunder that everyone now knows he's been forced to bring. Adia Carmichael lifts a battered cassette tape sealed in an evidence bag. The words on the faded label read simply, 99 Session. She tells the jury how Marcus hid this tape for decades in a rusted lockbox under his bed, never trusting even himself to destroy it. She says Marcus came forward only after being cornered with threats of jail time for perjury in a separate investigation. The defense snaps up from their chairs, shouting about authenticity, chain of custody, demanding the tape be thrown out before it poisons fair judgment. Judge Hamilton scolds them to sit and reminds them this is no gossip court, but a place where facts weigh more than reputations. The bailiff inserts the cassette into an old player brought in just for this moment. For a heartbeat, the crackle of static seems to swallow everyone's breath. Then a voice, grainy but unmistakably Diddy's, emerges, laughing in a low, conspiratorial drawl. He boasts about a loose end that got tied up the night a club brawl turned into a tabloid headline. He laughs about witnesses forgetting what they saw. Gasps ripple through the room like a cold wind under the jury box. Diddy lowers his eyes, but does not flinch. Marcus watches him, a mixture of shame and fury flickering behind his own weary eyes. Defense attorney Mitchell Stern charges at Marcus like a wolf scenting weakness. He calls Marcus a parasite living off the family name, a gambling addict who needed a payday to feed old debts and resentments. Stern leans in, jabs finger after finger into Marcus's credibility, painting him as a traitor whose loyalty was for sale the moment it suited him. Marcus absorbs every blow, then lifts his chin. He speaks louder now, defiant. He confesses to his addictions, his debts, his mistakes. He says he stayed silent when silence bought him cars and condos. He says what broke him was watching the people who paid the price. Families who buried sons and wives who heard excuses. He glares across the room at his brother, voice rising, demanding Sean look at him and admit how easily he used blood as just another shield. Diddy doesn't look away, but his lips press into a pale, deadly line. Judge Hamilton slams her gavel again, threatening contempt if the witness and counsel can't keep this from exploding into chaos. The jury stares, some horrified, some hypnotized by the spectacle of a kingdom cracking apart in real time. Defense switches tactics. Stern brings in an expert on audio forensics who testifies that the tape could have been doctored. He points out gaps and hisses that, he insists, suggest edits or splices. He waves technical jargon like a shield, begging the jury to see this as an old brother's revenge, not a confession. Stern hints that Marcus orchestrated this betrayal for a big payoff. Book deals, interviews, the cult status of being the man who toppled an icon. Ada Carmichael doesn't flinch. She introduces her final witness, a retired studio intern, now a modest producer in Atlanta. He takes the stand, trembling under the bright lights and the gravity of what he's about to resurrect. He confirms that he saw Marcus, all those years ago, slip a recorder behind a velvet couch during an after-party in a private suite. He remembers Marcus's words, "Insurance. Just in case my brother forgets who kept him safe." The weight of this detail crushes any whisper left in the gallery. The jury sits frozen, chewing invisible nails, stealing glances at Diddy, at Marcus, at the tape player still humming softly in the corner. Both sides deliver closing arguments carved from blood and headlines. Carmichael points at the tape, at Marcus, at the witnesses buried by silence. She paints Diddy not just as a mogul, but as a man who traded morals for power, family for control. Stern stands taller than ever, voice dripping with righteous outrage, calling this a witch hunt driven by envy, saying the world loves to watch a black king fall harder than they ever cheered when he rose. Before the jury leaves, Marcus asks to speak one last time. The judge hesitates, but allows it. He stands, breathes hard, and tells them he never wanted his brother's empire, just his respect. He says he lived too long in the dark and dragged too many secrets behind him. He says the truth costs more than silence, but silence feeds ghosts. He says he's ready to carry the cost now, even if it makes him a pariah forever. He turns to Diddy, voice dropping to a whisper the microphones barely catch. "You buried me alive for 20 years. Today, I bury your lies instead." The jury files out, the judge's gavel echoing like a distant funeral bell. Outside, crowds chant, argue, take selfies under the banner of scandal. Inside, two brothers sit on opposite ends of a war only family can fight. One who built an empire with a lie, and one who destroyed it with the truth he hid too long. A court clerk appears at the judge's shoulder. The verdict is ready. But the screen fades before the gavel strikes again, leaving the world to wonder which betrayal history will remember most. The secret itself, or the brother who chose to speak it at last.